That's the ones, the three you're talking about originally are Cape to Franklin Avenue, which must be handicap accessible too. There's an emergency exit. The other two are to the front of the restaurant, right?
And we're gonna have the fourth one to Franklin.
Okay, we need that on paper, and that has to be, that access to Franklin Avenue has to be paid. It has to be, wait, getting from the back of that restaurant onto the property, there is no way any handicapped person could get it, and there's places there where they can trip because it's not the same level. It's a different level. I'm thinking about people in case of an emergency. That's what I'm thinking about, Don. I've seen this in the past. I don't want to see things like that. All right.
Well, I'll speak to the owner if they want it leveled off or not, I don't know.
Right. Now, okay, and I think the fire department was there. I'm trying to remember his Jesse's. And I think he, with the fire inspector, if I remember from the meeting, he wanted to show him on the plan the egress routes. I think marked by arrow or something.
We said we would do that, but you know, we get the comments 2 weeks before the meeting with the statement that you can't change the drawing. We will put on his requirements as needed.
Okay, now, the December 5th letter, 23, building department number 2 comment was, he said they needed an as-built survey. These plans have that as-built survey.
Well, that's what I was asked to prepare. This map is reflecting the current conditions.
Okay, that's the as-built survey.
Yes. I mean, it's as is rather than as built, because it's not finished building and it's
But it was
has to be finalized.
as-built
It's a current conditions map.
As it exists today.
we should have a plan, should show the adjacent properties with emergency access exits to and from the public way. It must be the public way. I have no further at this time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. Please.
It's tough. It's a nice space. It's just, there seems to be a lot of information missing. I mean, if you're submitting a site plan, you shouldn't have the question have to be raised of what the egress locations are. So I don't know if we have enough to really look at here for the information. And we should probably have plans of what the space will be used for. Is there an intention to put walls on this space eventually too? Because, I mean, there's like comments about that. So it just, I guess, is like what is built, what it will it be used for, what are the egress, that should be kind of more clearly presented.
Okay. The question that you're talking about with what the fire inspector said very specifically says, when the applicant installs the walls to the structure, a sprinkler system will be required throughout the building. Okay? In other words, we have no intention, or as the client has no intention of closing this up. It was strictly, it was put up there to hold his televisions, it was put up there for the elements. He has no intention of closing it. It says, however, if you close it, then you have to sprinkle the whole building. Now, as related to ingress and egress, we've always shown fire pits on the drawing, and in all projects that I've worked on, the board asks for easement rights, which we have to do, which will be put on a drawing and given to the town with town attorney's approval.
Just to clarify, Mr. Brown is talking about the egress paths that are shown on the architectural plan. I hadn't shown them on here, but I have to show them, and I would have to add the adjoining structures and the gate and so on, and indicate where that path goes to the public right of way. But that came up in project review and Dave Majewski's comments. But again, we're not changing the drawings until after this.
We're not allowed to. We would change the drawings in that 2-week period. We're not allowed to. we're told you cannot change the drawings, we do not change the drawings. We're here, it's subject to these requirements, the drawings will be met.
So why weren't the architectural drawings submitted as well?
They were submitted, they were found they didn't have enough information. That's how Jay was hired to do the drawings. So they were submitted months ago. These drawings were submitted.
But there's just a disconnect of all the information, right? So that this is not all the information either, then that's still the situation essentially.
Right.
Okay. So I'll wait to hear from the public. I have no more comments at this point.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a thriving business, looking to expand. We just gotta figure out how to, meet all the comments. And there seems to be some discussion between Bill's department and yourself. And there's a lot of outstanding stuff here. And you're telling us the plans will change. And then you're saying you're also hoping for final. There's a lot of stuff, the comments that still gotta be met, was brought up before, the fire safety stuff. Jane's comments. So, I mean, you've been through this before.
Yes, I
But this is the first time we're seeing these plans here,
Well,
correct?
I really don't want to open old wounds. I really don't. What I'm trying to say, that they asked for certain things. We got a good survey. We had an architect's drawing. We're trying to keep the guy in business. He runs a good business, a safe business, and we're trying to keep him in business, which I think the public likes. I think the public likes the facility.
I agree, we just have to,
And now, the only reason I asked for final is because I would like the building inspector to check out the structure so that we don't wind up in June saying, oh no, now you're not getting your permit because we now have to check out the structure. And that's why I'm asking for some leniency in here. Please check out the structure. If there's something wrong, we'll get you the information. I don't want to put this man out of business. He runs a good business, and the public likes his business. Okay, nobody's ever complained about the business. Nobody's ever complained anything about it, like other facilities we've had in Pearl River. He runs a very nice business, and we want to keep it that way, and we need help. So we're asking.
we all want to support the good businesses in town.
So we're asking
Just
very
a
basically.
way, how do we do it tonight?
Please, well, I ask, please analyze the structure, have the building department analyze the structure. If they don't want to, then I will request the board, apply a broker, he's a structural engineer, we will pay for it, have them analyze it, because we had a professional engineer said it's okay, have Brooker, who represents you, have them analyze it, so that when we're ready, and you give us final, we hope in June, if you don't wanna give it us tonight, we can
So
get
Don,
a CO.
if I can ask, you're asking this board to approve the use of the structures in this rear yard without obtaining all the approvals first?
Subject to conditions. No, I'm not. I'm asking them to do it subject to conditions. That's what I'm asking. But I'm asking very nicely, could you please have your man analyze it under the COVID rights? Because when we had the COVID situation, which is still in effect today, you can analyze what a person wants to do it outside dining. They can do that, and they've done it.
Donald, permanent structures were not permitted under the town board resolution for COVID. The building department cannot issue a C of O for occupancy of structures built without the appropriate approvals. It's that simple. It's that simple. You're
Yeah,
asking
right,
the
and
board,
I'm
you're
agreeing
basically
with you,
asking the
Jan.
board to override what my job is, and that's not possible.
That's not.
Even if they were to grant that, I cannot issue a CO to utilize this. You still need to go to multiple boards. So until you obtain all of the approvals, I cannot legally issue a certificate of occupancy for the use of the structures that were built without permits.
I'm not asking for that.
That's what you were exactly
No,
asking
it's
for.
not. I am asking you, will you please analyze the structure and see if there's
Can I make a
something wrong with it?
Can I make a suggestion, which I think might work out, is, you had even suggested it, is we hire an outside consultant to review it.
The analyzation of the structure is not the question here. You could give me 10 engineers that say the structure's safe. They still have not obtained the required approvals. They need variances.
But I understand that this board, I don't think, can give an approval without having an
Yes, you can.
engineer
Yes, you can. You can approve site plan. That's not the issue here. The structural integrity of a building is on the building inspector. What you have here is a site plan or an existing condition survey that does not contain the information to make a determination that it's safe and it meets code. It does not meet zoning code. It has to go to the zoning board. It has to go to ACABOR. It has not demonstrated that they have the rights to have a means of egress to a public way across other properties. That is not legal. Those legal easements and those egresses have to be shown on this site plan.
All of them have to be shown, no question about it. But I think the biggest thing is your number one comment, to legalize that, whatever they have there.
To legalize everything that's going on back there.
They have to legalize everything.
Yep.
No question about it. I mean, you had a bunch of comments, but I think number one, let's address one thing, is to legalize the structure. This is your number one comment.
Right, so the first step in legalizing a structure that's built on a commercial property is to obtain planning board approval and the other land use board's approval. Until that is done, town code prohibits me from issuing a permit or a C of O. Building code prohibits me from issuing a permit or a C of O. So I can't do that. I can't do it.
I'm not asking for a C of O. I'm asking you would please analyze the
For
structure.
what reason? You can't use it.
Can I ask a question?
Well, sure, okay.
If you go,
Kevin, I'll get to you yet, I didn't forget you.
Can you finish up
Yeah.
and then go back to Andy?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, because I was out of turn, I thought you were done, Mike, I'm sorry.
Please, I am not asking for a C of O. I'm asking, please analyze the structure, because sometimes when they say you're using the wrong bolt, you're using the wrong
The
connection.
hesitation is that she's gonna analyze something, she doesn't know if it's allowed to even be there, so they're wasting their time.
Well,
So she's not gonna analyze a structure if the zoning board doesn't give you approval, or if we don't give you approval, it's turning
Well,
wheels or
okay,
wasting government
if we
or
get, if we
accounts.
get preliminary approval tonight, saying the site plan's all right, we're gonna go to the zoning board, which I think the zoning board, because there are things that we have to get variances for. We will ask for a waiver of ACABOR, because we see no reason why we have to go to ACABOR. It's a backside situation, and nobody's even here to question it, all right? We have to go back for final, and I'm saying, in this interim period, please analyze the structure. I'm not asking for a C of O, please analyze the structure, because that eats up a tremendous amount of time. When after you give final, that eats up time, and that can be accomplished now.
I just wanted to get, my last comment is, you kind of just went into it, I was gonna ask you, why not start the ball with preliminary? And then you can start fixing all this other stuff, and get the ball rolling, the business is still going, and you get the ball rolling, like, you're coming in here asking for final, and you throw this out.
I really, the only reason I said final, I just wanted the building inspector to please check the structure. That's all I'm asking for. I didn't ask for a C of O, I'm just asking them to check the structure. That's all I'm asking.
That's it for me,
Kevin, anything?
You know, it's kind of spiraling out of control with COVID, right? It started on a COVID rule and, you know, kind of took a tangent, and now we're, you know, spun up in a knot. And, you know, how do you get this fixed, right? There's a lot of concerns about emergencies. I've been to the place many times. I've been in the building when there's been an emergency, and they've actually had to shut the bar down. They sent everybody to the backyard, brought the ambulance in, and somebody was taken out. Right, so I think the applicant's operating in good faith, and what do we need to do here? We need to, is there any overrides you're looking for, or?
No,
Planning board, no.
we were prepared to meet every one of the items. We're just asking, as a courtesy, would you please have the inspector just check the structure, so we don't lose time after you grant final?
You're mixing things. The inspector has nothing to do with this. The inspector has nothing to do with this. Site plan approval must be obtained first. It has nothing to do with whether the inspector is going to approve the structural integrity of a structure that was built at a permit. You're muddling the waters here, Donald. You need to obtain
Would-
site
would
plan
it-
approval.
Would it solve it if we recommended that the town board be the lead agent?
No.
Would that be, that would be? No?
The town board can't be.
They can't be?
No.
Just asking.
They cannot get involved in planning board matters. This board is the only board in
I
Orangetown.
am not looking to muddy the waters. I'm saying very basically, I'm not asking for a C of O. I'm asking you, please, when you get that document, I know what happens when we file a site plan. then it goes to the building inspector, then the building inspector sits with it around 2 or 3 weeks, then he finds out, he says, you know what, that bolt maybe is the wrong bolt, or that side, and that's where we run into, by the time it's gonna be finished, it'll be June, it'll be September, October, or November. And I'm trying to avoid that. Can you please have the inspector look at the structure now to see if it's sound to your requirements? That's all I'm asking.
I guess, yeah,
The-
Mr.
the-
Brenner, if I could just comment.
Get some legal guidance?
Yeah, I don't think that the planning board can tell Ms. Slavin how to do her job.
I'm asking Ms. Slavin as a favor to the, and could she please do that?
But
If
that's-
she
Mrs.
says
Slavin,
no,
number one,
if she
doesn't
says
do
I don't
favors,
wanna
so
do
let's
it,
be clear
that's
there.
a different story.
Donald,
Pardon me?
Mrs. Slavin doesn't do favors, so let's be clear there. The procedure has to be followed. We have many applicants in the town, we have many applicants that have done stuff illegally. You're all held to the same standards.
Okay,
Okay,
then,
we have been, the building department has been working with you and your applicant for years, trying to legalize this. Please follow the procedures, provide drawings that include all the required information. It's honestly not that difficult.
do you agree with me on the time period, if we're lucky enough?
No,
to
you know
get-
what the time period is?
Yeah.
You know what takes so long after applicants get final? That they can't meet all the conditions of their approval. So you, as the representing your applicant, have to make sure that you present drawings that meet all the conditions of all the
The
consultants.
site plan is filed, when the site plan is filed, with all the conditions have been met, all right? How long does it take your building inspector?
I'm not
to
gonna
approve?
answer that, Donald. That has nothing to do with what is before the board at this current time. Deal with the application at hand. The application is to legalize a site plan for structures that were built illegally. The building department will handle the code compliance. You have site plan issues, you have zoning issues that need to be addressed. Whether or not the board wants to waive act for it, that is really, doesn't even need to be considered at this point. The site plan does not contain the information that is required to show that what was done is safe and meets code.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What structures, so for me, because I'm getting into this late into the game, what structures were constructed that were not legal or for which permits were not obtained?
We have the entire package. I'd be happy to provide drawings to you if you submit the FOIL. I would definitely give you all the drawings that were previously approved by the ZBA. But it's less than half of what was constructed.
Is the most egregious element the aluminum frame, or the steel frame for the covering? With the,
No, the whole back bar with the huge roof structure over it.
what about the walk-in chiller?
The walk-in chiller was never approved either. It was only the stuff that's basically attached to the building for
The pizza.
approximately
Right.
8 feet, of which, again, what had to be legalized.
I have no problem closing the back bar until we
That's
get.
where I was going.
I have no problem closing the back bar, all right? I have no problem saying, you know what, we're not gonna use the awning.
Right, but that's between us, right? That has nothing to do with the planning board. The only thing the planning board is concerned with is whether the site plan approval. Whether or not I permit you to use something is up to me. The planning board can't direct me to allow you to use something or not.
Well, that's where I was going, is to
But
see
that's not a determination for the board.
if there was some way of keeping the back open and using it for outdoor dining during, let's face it, nobody, whether there's a roof there or not, nobody's gonna be eating there if it's pouring rain and the wind is flying, coming in from the side.
Why, they're not.
So if they don't put the roof on and they don't use the outside bar, is it something that could get him through a period of time?
That's a
While we're
discussion.
processing this to get
That's
the
a
approval.
separate discussion. That doesn't involve the planning board.
Okay. Well,
Okay, Andy, you have a question?
Concerned with your adamancy about the steel structure being inspected, okay? My concern is, what if the rest of the boards don't approve your egresses? What if the rest of the boards don't approve your escapes?
Structure must come down.
So then why would you want us to waste our time to go out and okay the structure if we don't even know if it's gonna still be there?
Because I have no doubt that every one of the things that you're asking for, we will be able to meet. I have no doubt about it. That's why we
Fine,
have a
then
preliminary.
why don't we go through the proper procedures
We're talking
to
time.
do that, to meet those objectives?
Time is the problem. That is the problem, time. If we get preliminary tonight, all right, then we have to go to zoning board. We'll be lucky if we get onto the zoning board agenda at the end of May, all right? Then after the zoning board, then I gotta go back to the planning board. We'll be lucky if we get back to the planning board
You're not gonna
prior
get to the
in
zoning
July.
I'm not gonna be ready.
Well, that's the problem. We're never gonna make the time schedule, which means now we're in July. Let's say we get final in July, then they have to check the drawings. This will not be ready for use under the concept for a C of O, okay, until September or October, and the season's gone.
So then, at the very end, if we find that nothing is okay, you got, all that time is wasted, you tear down the structure, you tear down the backyard, and where does that put your client into position there? You're talking about having him keep going with the restaurant because he needs the money. So what happens when none of this is approved and he's gotta take the whole thing out?
The client,
The
client,
what does he do then?
the client is the opinion that there is nothing that he built, okay, will have to come down because it was built
Okay,
properly.
but you know what? I have the opinion that I'm gonna win lotto tonight.
Well,
I can't.
this structure has been up over a year. It's been supporting televisions. I don't know if you've been there or not. It's a very nice place to be. And, in fact, I think it's the nicest place in the town. Okay, and nobody has had a complaint. There has been no accident. There's been nothing. We were worried about something because it was brought up. What happens? There is a catastrophe, so you need exits to get out. And we can supply the exits. We can supply the exits. And normally, that's all the board asks for. They ask for proper easements, proper covenants, and placed on the drawing, which we're prepared to do. That's all the board asks for. They don't ask for more. There is no doubt
But you know
we
what,
can meet these conditions.
if Jay was given all the right information, showed all the egresses and everything like that, we might be able to consider pre-preliminary. Okay,
The drawings,
but we don't have, I don't see that here.
but the drawings were shown on the architecture. I don't know why you
We don't have the architectural drawings.
Yes, we do.
I think the last meeting we were
You
here,
need an engineer's signature.
What?
The architecture.
Oh,
Or it's a copy site plan.
Architecture's,
Copy
it's
site
on New
plan.
York State.
You know, Dave Majewski's letter did address the fact that if this macadam driveway was going to be used for an emergency egress, that it had to be at least 4 foot, 4 inches wide or something to that effect. I forget the exact number.
44 inches.
In the worst case scenario, we can dedicate this as an egress if nothing else is satisfactory. So if the board were to say that that has to be one of the egress points, if there is no other satisfactory alternative, then that could be a condition. And then we would not be having an issue with providing an emergency egress that satisfies the fire inspector.
I just don't know why, because I think the last time, if I'm not mistaken, you were here December 5th. You know, we're talking 4 months. I mean, in that time frame, there was a lot of things that were asked prior and really weren't resolved.
I was very fortunate. We got an architect, he's not even here tonight, you can see.
Right.
But we're very fortunate I got Jay. He did as a personal favor to me, went in and did the survey.
You will.
I owe him. Take my word for it. Because you can't get people who wanna work in this town anymore.
I agree with you on that one. But the problem is, there's still so much that we're missing. There's still so much that have to go on the map.
I think Jay,
Big concern with the board, has a lot of big concern.
Jay brought up what, what I was gonna ask, how can you make, while you're going through this process, how can you still use it if you need to? And that's something, a discussion you can have with Jane, it sounds like, until we go through the process, if there's things that have to be removed. permanent structure versus a temporary? Is it the footing, is it,
Yeah, it's structurally attached to the
Right.
ground, I mean,
but
it's
if it was
permanent.
temporary, if it was
You
a
can't move it.
temporary, if it was a temporary structure, it would
And there's a
still,
clear definition in the state code as to temporary and permanent,
Okay.
so. Temporary is the tents that you see that people put up for weddings, and it's not,
but because you can't move this, it's considered permanent.
it's anchored to the ground, it's, yeah.
There was something that I think we discussed back in December, it might have been one of the project review. The side walls, are they on the property, or are they on the property line, or do they have to be a certain distance from the property line?
The, as I noted in my, letter, the steel frame straddles the property line, it's on 2 properties. So that has to be granted easements. As with the original, bar that was approved by the ZBA, based on the survey that was provided, was actually built over the property line. So all these easements have to be shown on the plan to permit the encroachments from property to property.
So who gives them the easements? Does that come from the?
It's legal agreement between the property owners that is then reviewed by the town attorney's office, as Mr. Brenner stated in the beginning of the meeting. But as you are well aware, it's commented on almost every project at multiple projects by Bruce Peters that all easements must be shown, and in this case, it's not a drainage easement or a utility easement, this is structures and life safety easements that need to be shown.